it went on for a few minutes, and I look over at him, and I'm like, do you always talk to people like this, or like what's the problem? Like, this lady's trying to help you. Do you always just it's not the internet, dude. You just
right
around trying to talk to people like this. And he looks me in my eye. He goes, "Aren't you that shitty YouTuber?"
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of A-Listers. My guest today is a content creator, a Chatroulette legend, and one of the world's epic gaming trolls, and the creator of the Beersy. Welcome to the show, MrTechnicalDifficult. What made you decide to start YouTube, and how did you come up with the name MrTechnicalDifficult?
Thanks for having me on first. And so question one, why did I start YouTube? And if for the people listening, I actually don't, I only kind of make YouTube videos here and there when I'm bored. I started doing YouTube when I saw this guy, White Boy 7th Street. He was one of the original guys. There's like a core of original like gaming commentary guys on Call of Duty. So what you would do is you would play your game, record the footage, and then talk over it, right? So I was watching one of his pieces of content. He had like a cool, not an accent because I think he's from like Wisconsin. So he had like a Wisconsin accent. So he sounded like a pretty interesting dude. And so I started listening to his stuff and watching his gaming stuff. And he said something in there. He mentioned something about getting paid for making these videos. And I'm like, whoa. What the hell? And I literally said this to my wife because I was like, hey, I need one of these game recording things for my birthday. It was like $300. She's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, this guy, White Boy 7th Street, said he makes money from these YouTube videos. I was like, I can be funnier than this guy. Buy me this game recording thing. We're going to do this. I'm going to start making YouTube videos. So that's how kind of like the idea came around. I actually but what I wanted to do, and that's where the name comes into play, MrTechnicalDifficult. I was like, I love technology. I love new gadgets and all that stuff. I was like, I'll just help people with their technology. So I was like, oh, technical difficulties, right? Or technical difficult. And I'm like, that'd be a cool name. But that was taken. And then so I was like, oh, I'll just throw a Mr. at the front. Literally, if I could change anything about any of this YouTube stuff or anything like that, that would be the number one thing I probably changed is the name, because it just doesn't make sense. I would probably just have it be something that revolves around like my real name.
Was there a moment on your YouTube channel where you noticed like, holy shit, this is taking off? This is going to be something, or was it just like a slow build?
No, what I realized, so I messed around at first, just kind of like posting gaming content. I remember I had a video that blew up, and it wasn't even me. It was just, there's no audio commentary. It's just my brother playing Black Ops, and he got like 70 something kills. And I just put that up, and I said it blew up, but a couple thousand views. But back then you're like, holy shit. Couple thousand views, and so then that's, I think, when I first kind of got addicted to the views. I remember like it was yesterday, me sitting and like I was so desperate for views. What I would do is I would open up multiple tabs on the browser
back when you could do that,
videos in it, and I would have it refresh every like 7 seconds. And like it was like not like today they wouldn't count those as views.
Yeah, because YouTube has all their crazy stuff on it.
Yeah, back then it would be like, oh, you got 6,000 views, and like this was funny, but I still thought it was cool. I'm like, yeah, 6,000. When it was literally just me refreshing it all. I had this idea. I'm like, wouldn't that be funny as fuck if like there's just a little kid who wasn't actually a little kid? Like everybody hates little kids on Xbox, right? So
Justin Bieber fan.
Yeah, so and everybody's like, hey, little kid, shut up. But what if that little kid came back with some like real heat and actually like talk some shit back, like successfully, not just like saying little kid things, like actually like going in and saying things that little kids wouldn't say. So I'm like, it sounds cool in theory, but how can I figure it out? So and like I said, I like technology. I still to this day I love technology. But back then I figured out how to, I can't talk like a little kid, like say like Louis Calibre or whatever, his name. So I had to figure out like, through technology to sound like a little kid. And, some of the things I use work better than others, but, for the most part, I just used GarageBand on my Mac and was able to talk into it, and it would output, the change of the little kid and like that stuff. And to me, that's what I thought. Like, I'm just going to make this timeless content, that will just always be funny, and people are going to come back and watch more. And that's just kind of like my mindset at the start. People think they want the same thing over and over and over again, but they don't. Like, they'll say like, dude, go make Chatroulette, go like, and that's where I kind of got sucked into all those comments where they're like, go do this again, go do the same thing. Go. And so all I did was the same type of content instead of like trying new stuff. And, I was trying to crank out videos like every single day. And so I burnt myself out.
How did the Beersy come to be? What's the story behind that?
Beersy, if people aren't familiar, it's in a lot of people have seen them, and they haven't been from me. They've been illegal Chinese knockoffs. But it's basically a sleeve you put over your beer or your soda. I like to call it like a costume for your beer or your soda. So you can like put it over it. It's a silicone sleeve, but you can't tell that it's a sleeve, right? So you put it over a beer and it looks like a soda. A lot of the stuff with Beersy has to kind of do with the chain reaction of me getting banned on YouTube. And I'll keep it short, but I got banned on YouTube. That was my realization that even though I built another account up to a little over 1 million followers, that was my realization that I can't put all my eggs in one basket on YouTube. So I hired a buddy from college. He moved out here. He did some kind of web design stuff. So we started this website called Dude Comedy. And we mainly ran it through Facebook. Because that was back in the day when Facebook, like you post something on Facebook, like it would just erupt. Like there was way less Facebook pages to the amount of people that were scrolling on Facebook. So a shitload of people scrolling, but not enough content to go into those feeds. So they would just blast out these Facebook pages. Well, and we utilized our website, Dude Comedy. So we would make like viral media articles, post it on Facebook, blast it out to people. Makes probably still the best money I've ever made in my life was doing the Dude Comedy stuff. Now a lot of people realize they could do this. So then pages, just shitloads and shitloads of pages started booming on Facebook. Well, now you got way too many pages, not enough feed space. So I was like, I'm going to come up with a product and utilize it on my Facebook page. And so I played a softball game like 5 years ago. And this dude had cut the top and bottom off a Coke can and put it over his beer, and he was drinking in the dugout. And I saw him switch it out. So I went and, that night I went and did a little research, and people would sell the cans with the slit down the side and the top and bottom cut off, but there was no product that actually did that. And so I'm like, oh, this is cool, but took a while to design it, find somebody who could do it, find somebody who could print on it. And I posted the video, and within, I think, a couple hours, all 1,000 units were gone. So I'm like, oh, well, there's the business. And so then I took it a little more serious. Like our best-selling one is just one that says COVID vaccine on it. So you just slip it over your can. The other best, like, we don't like getting political. I don't really like getting political, but we just had to take it just because it's like the perfect time. But we have one that says liberal tears on it and looks like canned water.
Is the world soft now, and would your content be received a lot worse than it did back then?
Dude, so I just posted. I started posting, and I got this email that was a violation from a piece of content. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. I got a strike on my vlog channel that I haven't posted on in years.
I remember you talking about this, yeah.
And the video title said, and I can't even make this shit up. It's just insane. The video title was, quote, literally nothing but a baby crying or laughing. Sorry, not crying. Crying, it even makes it sound laughing. And I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on here? That was the video that got a violation. But I'm like, all right, I must have done something in there that was like weird, like said like this uncomfortable joke or something like that. So I go and look at the video because it still lets you look on it or look at it. It is literally nothing but a baby laughing. And I'm like, how in the world does their algorithm pick this up as child endangerment? If I would have started YouTube yesterday, I would never make it to anywhere close to where I made it in the end. If I still had my channel today, I'd probably be 3-4 million followers if I still did it consistently. I have to be motivated to like do something and like be successful at it. in working for somebody else, I have zero motivation, so I'm not going to be successful at it, and it's just not going to work in life. And when I did the YouTube stuff, like I dedicated like my life to it. It's rare that I dedicate, my time to anything.
You went after some predators too in the past. Some of those led to arrests, I'm assuming. Can you tell me a little bit more about some of those situations?
So and we'll kind of fill people in. So I used to pretend I would do, I pretend to be a kid on Xbox for fun. But then I started doing this thing where I'd go to chat rooms and I would pretend to be a 13-year-old girl and say like, hey, hit me up on Skype for a good time, yada, 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 where I show like how many people actually add me on Skype when I do that. And I believe I caught 50 in like 30 minutes. They're not caught, but they just added me. And I'm just showing how many people add me, because 99% of the time they're well over 18. They're not, I've never ran into somebody that's been like a fellow 13-year-old,
Right.
I try to get them to a lot of times they don't show their face. So I get them to show their face first, and I get some of the dialogue. They say, oh, I'm a 26-year-old, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, oh, I'm 13, or I've done 11 before. And then I get them on camera and I bust them. Well, there's actually a couple news stories. One that actually makes me look kind of bad about it. He was like a teacher or something. He was a teacher. They went and busted him because they saw my video. They got a warrant in the like news coverage, which they didn't ask me anything. I mean, nobody's ever came. It's weird that some of these people got arrested because they didn't come and ask me for any details. They were like, oh yeah, we highly recommend not to try to be internet vigilantes, and like it could end up, leave it to the police, blah, blah, blah. Even though I just got a dude busted. Lots of people thought they were cool, but there was a lot of like backlash. Like, why don't you go call the cops on him? Why are you putting him on the internet? And I'm like,
the internet does more damage than
well, I'm like, yeah, first off, it's like community policing. With if somebody spots him, they can actually call the right people. Like,
yeah,
who the hell am I supposed to call?
You're supposed to call,
hey, where do you live, man? Let me call the police in your area.
Hide your address and stuff, because you said you gotten swatted and stuff. Was that all based from the trolling, or is it just based on the popularity of
like swatting was popular and cool back then? We were doing this event with like Mr. Burns, Jimmy, some other people down in California for our YouTube network, and it was like a launch streaming event. And so they thought that I was at my house doing it, apparently. So they swatted my house, which was this little ghetto apartment. I haven't really done anything like to hide my address and stuff. It's like there's 2021. There's only somebody else to find you. They're going to find you. I've had people at that same apartment. I had a dude. It's so weird. He left a note on my door and said, I know what your brother did. He's like, I'm going to expose him unless you leave a longboard by the dock at some lake nearby. Like, go buy me a longboard at the lake. I'm like, what are you talking? First off, my brother hasn't done anything. So I'm like, what is this guy talking about? But then he's just like, a handwritten note, leave a longboard at this spot or else. It's like, really? Yeah. Like, were you 12? Like, actually, I have a funny story. I'll make it short. I was at AutoZone the other day. I was looking for a fuse for my truck, and some kid, not a kid, he's probably like 25, maybe a little bit older. He came in with this return. He walks up to the cashier lady, and I'm talking with some other lady. And actually, I haven't even told this story to anybody yet. This is an exclusive. And so I'm talking to this lady. He just comes in fired up. He's like, hey, I used to work here. I paid for this in cash for about 3 hours ago. I need cash now. And the lady's like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I don't have enough. We can do it on your debit card. He's like, no, I used to work here. I know how this works. I know you got money back there in the. He just came in super hot. And the girl's like, well, the manager's not here right now. I can't access the safe, but I don't think there's cash in there. He's like, why would you not have cash? Let me see all your tills. And he's just like, just going off. And it went on for a few minutes. And I look over at him. And I'm like, do you always talk to people like this? Or like, what's the problem? Like, this lady's trying to help you. Do you always just it's not the internet, dude. You just keep around trying to talk to people like this. And he looks me in my eye. He goes, aren't you that shitty YouTuber? And then he went immediately back to arguing with the lady. And it was just like, damn, that's like a very weird way to be recognized, you know.
Is there any advice you would give to somebody today who's just starting out on YouTube?
Good quality content, good lighting, all that stuff, but it's mainly about like consistency. I believe that anybody, if they consistently post with high quality, can gain a following. You know, you got to learn how to title and do the right thumbnails and stuff, but anybody can do that. But I mean, it's like nowadays I watch people that fish. Like I'm like fishing through somebody else's eyes, you know? So it's like I watch like back, 10 years ago, nobody did stuff like that. I think you got to do stuff that you like. Like I've over the years, I've always thought like I could just hop on and like do stuff that other people do, and I can maybe make a couple cool videos, but if it's not something that I personally like to do, because you have to like stay motivated if you really want to like nobody's sitting there telling you what to do. So you have to like self-motivate. And if you don't like fishing, you're not going to go out there and put your all into making these fishing videos. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just what I've always told people, but you gotta be creative with your content. I don't like strive to do different things and stuff like that as hard as I used to. And just because I got, just like, if we're trying to do this show, we've been trying to do the show for like a couple of weeks now. And we're supposed to do it at 12 today. And it's like, oh, River just said I have a call at 12, so it's a lot going on. But yeah, I would just say consistent, high quality.
This last bit I have for you are rapid fire questions. So what's your favorite Call of Duty?
Favorite Call of Duty? Probably Black Ops 2.
Favorite movie?
I think I just have to go to Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber. What's your all-time favorite video game?
All-time Trials series.
Favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero? I would say probably just Deadpool, just because he's funny.
If you had $1 for every time someone called you Mr. Technical Difficulty, how much money would you have?
Oh, man. I would be rich.
If you had to pick one superpower, what would it be?
Flying would be cool.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
That's a tough one. Biggest pet peeve? Working with this guy behind me, just in general.
If you could add one person to Mount Rushmore, who would it be and why?
I think when everything's said and done, probably Elon Musk.
How do you like your steak cooked?
Rare.
What's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear? Drowning would suck. But also just my parents dying would be weird.
What is a food you could not live without?
Food I can't live without: steak. I love steak.
What's the worst drink out there?
Or cucumber Gatorade. I was super hungover at this. Yeah, I was super hungover at this basketball tournament one morning. And my buddy was like, dude, we got a game. It was just like a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. And he's like, drink this. And I was like, all right. It was cucumber Gatorade.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh, my gosh. Not very serious.
What is your biggest goal in life?
Oh, geez. I don't really have any. What are you laughing at over there? My biggest goal is to get rich and retire. Honestly, like people always want this like sentimental shit. I'll probably change my goals after I hate working. I hate, like, to me, the concept that you have to work in life to get anything and make money in life is very, very weird. That you can't survive. You can't flourish without. I mean, even if you say like, well, I won't work. I'll live off the land. What land?
You got to buy the land. Yeah.
Yeah. What land? You can't just, I'm sure there's areas out there you can, freeload, but.
Well, that is the last question. Of course, I'll have everything for you linked down in the description, but what is next for you, MTD?
Oh man, I don't know what's next for me. I'm just kind of playing out we got this game, Atlas Empires. It's pretty cool concept. And, I kind of like doing the stuff that's not always like, I don't have to be like the face of something. I kind of just, for the game, it's a location-based game. So it's pretty much like Pokemon Go or Clash of Clans, but you start out the game by claiming like a real piece of land that nobody else can claim. And then once you claim that land, you go out into the real world, you collect resources, bring them back, build up all your shit. So I'm really into kind of like this more businessy side of things where, I still like making content like Instagram. I don't make a dime or anything from doing that, but I'm totally fine with with chucking content out there. I don't see myself ever like making a living from content again. It's just so up and down. Like I said, I'm like Will Ferrell ain't the most popular comedian anymore. And I'm like 100,000th of that, you know, if that, probably way 1 billionth of that, you know. So content's cool while you're in the limelight. I just don't want to be one of those guys that are trying to like still be it, you know. So I'm just trying to do more business stuff, and that's just kind of, you know, it's just kind of what's fun to me. I can go take off for a week or something, make this guy take things over. You know, just stuff like that. Just I honestly don't know. Could be something completely different tomorrow. That's what's cool about it.